Hey, hello, welcome to the Money Matters podcast with Copper. Today with us we have Jayam Vora, who's the co-founder and CEO of Fiternity. Now, Fiternity is India's largest discovery platform and booking platform for fitness services. So, currently, correct me if I'm wrong, it has 11.3 million users, 600,000 monthly active users on its platform, and you've grown 3x last year, especially in the times of the pandemic, and clock in $16 million of annual recurring revenue, right? And one more fun fact about Fiternity, which I was just researching, is that you represented India as the only company on Google Demo Day amongst 8,000 companies. That was way back in 2016. So, welcome, Jayam, to the podcast. Today, we are not going to talk about physical fitness, but we are going to talk about financial fitness with you, right? And so it's good to have you here. Thank you so much for being a guest on our show.
So thank you so much for having me and for the kind words on paternity.
Great.
Appreciate the way you kind of put this across. And yeah, I'm very excited to kind of have this chat.
Great. So let's get started. I mean, we can start with Fiternity. So, I mean, how did you get this idea of building this services or, fitness marketplace? What actually marked the beginning of Fiternity? How did you get to
Yeah,
this idea?
no, I think a very interesting question. So I think see, fraternity was started by myself and my co-founder Neha. Uh, I think it was more of a consumer need that led us to explore this further. So just going back to 2013, right? And this was the time where consumer internet startups in India were booming. People were focusing on all aspects of life, but no one was really looking into fitness or preventive healthcare with focus, right? So you had an app which would kind of hail you a taxi. You had an app which would get you a holiday, an app to buy groceries, but nothing for fitness, right? And finding a gym or a fitness instructor was actually very difficult because 99% of these retail outlets did not have a website, were not on Google. So discovery was a major concern, right? Uh, the only platform that you had at that time was someone like a Just Dial, which would just have name and number, right? No detailed information for you to actually take an informed decision. And I think that's the and in parallel to that, we also face the same kind of user gap. Neha from a point of view of finding a personal trainer and me from a gym. And I think we realized that it is super difficult, right? And that's when we started thinking is that is this our problem or are others also facing this, right? And I think from a business point of view, when we reviewed this opportunity, we realized that there are over 10,000 gyms and studios in India that were existing in 2013. Over 13 million searches happening on Google alone monthly on fitness near me as a keyword term. So what you're seeing is on one side there's massive demand. People want to get fit. Fitness is moving from just conversations to actually wanting to get it done. And on the supply side, gyms and studios are growing. Trainers are kind of shooting up. But the point is there's no platform connecting them. And the only way you would find a trainer is through word of mouth. And the only way you find a gym is when you walk by, right? And hence we said that for these 13 million odd users which are searching for fitness monthly, let's create a platform which will help you find, familiarize, and take informed decisions. And I think that's when we launched Fraternity in late 2014 as a purely as a discovery platform at that time. And I think what really worked for us is that we instantly hit product market fit in terms of the discovery platform. A bunch of users started using it. We were reviews for gyms and studios start pouring in. And I think as we kind of saw that successfully move ahead, what we realized is that the challenge does not stop there, right? It's not so when you look at the Indian ecosystem when it comes to fitness, it's not just about finding a gym. it's also about having the ability to transact seamlessly, right? Not having to go to a counter at a gym and negotiate your heart out, and 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 and, and the price that you pay is dependent on your negotiation skills. That's things we've not seen in other categories, right? So we took a step ahead. We formalized the discovery platform into a booking platform, similar to what you would see maybe a booking.com in the hotel space, where you not only find a gym but you actually buy online. And I think that really changed the game for us. We transacted over 100 crores worth of fitness services online, which had never been done before in any part of the world. uh, in few years after the launch. And I think we're still learning. So I think at least last couple of years have been more transforming for us. We've moved from just being a booking platform to now owning our own subscription product. So, we have this product called a fraternity membership called the One Pass, which gives access to all the gyms in our network. So, I mean, imagine owning one gym membership, which gives you access to every gym in the country and also has uh, swimming at five-star hotels, CrossFit, Zumba, all of that, right? And we realized that today's user is very different from the way they used to consume years back. It's he's very progressive, wants more flexibility, and I think us being the us being on in the center of this ecosystem really gives us enough insights to kind of understand this behavior and plan ahead, right? So yeah, I think that's how the journey has evolved and started for us.
Got it. And was this your first venture, or were you working elsewhere? How did you actually make your first buck, right?
So yeah, I think it's a very funny story. So I wasn't, I would say, as disciplined a student in college, and hence I skipped most of my college campus placements. I'm an engineer uh, under the field of biomedical from DJ Sangvi in Bombay, and I was pretty much jobless, when I passed out. And a senior of mine had started a company in the healthcare tech space, which was again a startup. So I just kind of uh, managed to catch up with him and so why don't I give this a try? And at that time, joining a startup was not as palatable a concept as it is today. So I had to convince my parents a little. But then I think I started there. That company is called Ascent Healthcare. It's currently, so it's part of, or maybe it's the parent company of PharmEasy, which is a medicine delivery app. So from Ascent point of view, I must be one of the first 10 employees who would have joined. So that's, I think, where I made my first buck. Stay, worked there for over a year, learned so much, which, really helped me in my entrepreneurial journey.
Got it.
And I think that first buck had a lot of great color to it because it was not just money, but it was money that came with a lot of knowledge, which I feel is very important to multiply your money later on in the future, right?
Got it.
So I think that color of money was very important. Yeah, I think that was my first tip.
So, just a quick story from my side. When I started my first job way back in 2004, and at that time I was earning 14,000 rupees or something like that per month, and I was able to save maybe only a couple of thousand bucks back then. So obviously, so did you manage when you took up your first job? Did you manage to save? Did you start investing back then, or it was unplanned expenses, or you didn't think too much about what you were earning?
Yeah, no, I think at that time, very honestly, couldn't save much. I was maybe too early in my journey to kind of think of things beyond, right? So at that time, not very much into saving, investing, etc. Spent most of my time just kind of trying to learn and earn that, within that company infrastructure. And I think it more towards maybe 2 3 years in my career is when I started realizing the importance of investing and investing right. And I'll tell you why. So so Fraternity is a company which has gone through multiple rounds of investment, all the way from seed angels to large VC funds, right? And through that journey, we've also been able to give substantial returns to our investors, uh, of the fold of maybe multiples of X within a year or two, right? And that's when I realized that while primary income that you earn through working and effort, investing income can also have a very massive turnaround and maybe a more impactful turnaround. While here the investment was more towards a startup, the investment could be anything. It could be stocks, it could be anything. Uh, but yeah, that's when I realized that if you put your money in the right place, uh, cognizantly, making a 2x, 3x is possible. And hence I realized the importance of investing. So it was more from that point of view. Otherwise, for me, it was all about taking money, parking it into more stable financial options, than actually just in and actually investing, right? So I think that's what my thought process has been.
So, were there any struggles starting out when you were trying to build out your own company, Fraternity, in terms of raising capital, or even when it came to managing your own personal finances, right? So, and entrepreneurs basically put everything on the line, and including their bank balance, right? So, was there any concern there with personal finance management and money that you had to raise?
Yeah, so breaking this down, right? I think raising capital for a startup in India, as much as glamorous that it might look, it's a very tough job. And we've fortunately raised capital in 4 rounds till now, and every round has been more difficult than the previous, right? uh, and rightly due, right? People invest, and there's a lot of effort that it takes for someone to put money into your dream, which you're running, where they're going to be a mere spectator. As much as they would want to be involved, they're going to be a mere spectator. So from that point of view, it took a lot out of us to raise capital. It still does. I feel that, and I think India's maybe getting more and more mature on startup investments, but 2014, 15, 16 was more difficult. And I think when you look at the flip side of it, see, from a entrepreneurial journey point of view, it does impact, right? You don't have enough time to actually uh, you optimize your wealth, or find put in that effort to kind of really manage it. And I think second is that, see, as a startup entrepreneur, your salary initially and the few stages of the company is always going to take a hit. You're never going to earn as fluidly as your counterparts working in more organized, more mature companies would. It takes right. So I think yeah, that's also something that we have also personally faced, where we've had to let go a lot of personal gain for the larger gain of the company, which I think has yielded significant returns now. But were we nervous 2 3 years back? Absolutely. If that answers your question, yeah.
Got it. So, I mean, if I want to take this to more personal level, so how do you go about planning your own finances, right? So now, let's say Fraternity is established, you have raised 4 rounds of capital, and maybe you're earning a steady, stream of income. So how do you go about managing your own personal finances?
Yeah, so I think the idea is to diversify, and given we are also exposed to the startup ecosystem, that ecosystem. So I think it's a fluid spread between low risk investments like financial deposits, as well as high risk investments like shares, as well as ultimate risk investments like startups, right? So I think that's the way I've gone about it.
Got it. So basically, you invest in other startups or uh, and also in the equity markets, right? If I'd have to go back, way back in your life, maybe when you were in school, can you recollect any experience where, let's say, someone, your parent or maybe your grandparents, they taught you something about money way back then, or any teacher in school uh, who actually, gave you some wisdom related to money and the importance of money? Did that come quite early or no?
No, I think absolutely. I think one thing which I feel is unique to you know Indians as against what we see in other parts of the world is we in a very early age understand the importance of really saving money and planning for the future. And that has also kind of really helped me to always save for a rainy day, always look at not 1 2 but 10 years in the future, and has also given maybe some kind of maturity early on, because from a startup point of view, as the company grows, you come across maybe exponential sum of capitals which you would have not expected, right? That time I think that maturity for you to know that not to blow it off, because it has, with the grace of God, come a little early in your career. But to actually save it and put it in the right manner is something that I've always been taught by my family. And I think what's really helped me also uh, manage money is that I've always been part of cultural festivals, etc., for school and college. While that cannot be parallel to a job, but I feel that doing, handling money, even the smallest of sums, at a very early age, in school and college, gives you some kind of exposure or explain, makes you understand how that money works.
Got it.
So yeah, I think that's where
Yeah.
I
So
have gone.
wherever, I think the advice here to those students who are in college or youngsters would be, whenever you have an opportunity to manage money, you should grab it and try to manage the money as wisely as you can. So if we have to again maybe roll back the clock, what is the advice that you would give your younger self, uh, let's say before you started fraternity, right? Any financial advice you'd want to give to your younger self, what you would have done maybe 7 or 8 years ago, which you wished, right? And maybe you missed at that time.
Yeah, I think, as I said, start investing earlier. I started investing very late, I feel, as against my peers. Maybe I was more involved in what I was doing at that time and hence did not take the effort or time. But I feel that with the platforms, education, etc., that is now available to an Indian user, which was not available maybe 10, 20 years back, I think people should, in a way, get empowered by it. So today, for example, investing is easier. Investing into global stocks is easier, right? Understanding more about company portfolios is easier. Understanding trends is easier. And there's a lot that one can do themselves, through learning yourselves as against just be heavily dependent, on experts. So I think that kind of is what I would have wanted to do. Maybe at 22 or 23, that's when fraternity started. Whereas I personally got involved in managing finance at like 27, 28, right? So I feel I missed half a quarter there.
Got it. Got it. So, hypothetical question. Let's say, someone comes and gives you 100 crores, right? And says that, hey, this is, you can do whatever you want to do with this 100 crores, right? Where would you put in that money? How would you invest it? What would you do basically with all that cash that you have?
Yeah, my answer will be very, yeah, no, fair question. See, I think my answer will be very biased over here, because I am part of the, I would say, the startup ecosystem in India. I see more benefits in that ecosystem than the average Joe would, right? So given that, I think I'd park it into a bunch of really interesting companies which are growing in India, because I feel that the return that those companies will be able to give in the next few years will be quite phenomenal.
Great. So, all in into startups is what you're saying, right? Uh, so obviously, I mean, there are, being an entrepreneur, there are a lot of things which are there on your mind, and uh, personal finance or money management is one of the things that would be there on your mind, right? Apart from managing your day-to-day business, etc. So how do you actually keep yourself updated or stay on top of your finances? Do you have a uh, let's say a wealth manager whom you work with, or do you read financial news daily? How is it that you stay on top of your financial game?
Yeah, no. So I think cognizantly keep a good half an hour a day to be aware of what's happening and what are the opportunities. So I think that's something that definitely do every day. And between myself, my father, and my wife, I think we kind of look at different opportunities and discuss it internally. And I think that's how we are managing it at the moment.
Great. So I think one key takeaway which I would have to say is at least spend some time thinking about what you would want to do with the wealth or with the money you're earning, right? Rather than just go on autopilot
Yeah.
and you know just think about your work or your job or your business, right? Rather than doing that, also think about different investment opportunities, etc. So, in terms of investment opportunities, are you bullish about cryptocurrency? What's your take on Bitcoin and the crypto market?
I think that,
Yeah.
yeah, it's a very burning question. It's been a while since I've really wanted to understand it better. But unfortunately, I have not given that much time and effort. So currently, my uh, modes are more traditional in terms of what I have been investing in. But yeah, I think so. It would not be justified at my end to say whether it makes sense or not because I'm not that well duly informed. Due to faults of my own, I have not given it that much time. So whether it's great or not is something I personally wouldn't want to comment on at the moment.
Got it. Got it. So, is there anything currently that you're researching, or anything that you're looking into from a business opportunity, from a financial opportunity that you're looking at? Any, let's say, hot industries or startups that pique your interests?
Right. So I think, see, there are two waves of growth that we have seen, right? I think when COVID hit, uh, growth kind of moved into directions which 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 promoted more remote access. What I mean by this is, for example, ed tech companies became very important because you couldn't go to institutes, right? Uh, FMCG distribution through technology companies became very important because you couldn't step out of the house, right? Um, and similar concepts, for example, OTT became very important. While that was one trend, I feel what would be very interesting to know is now that the vaccine is in, and hopefully in a few quarters, a large portion of the planet will be vaccinated. When the V-shaped recovery really hits, right, and when people now want to go out, which are the opportunities that will boom? And in my opinion, something like travel has really been travel as well as consumer goods has really been beaten down because of the pandemic. But because we are home for such a long period, the revenge consumerism, I think, will really shoot up. So the number of holidays that you would take, for example, now post-COVID, maybe way larger than what, way higher than what you would have done pre-COVID because of multiple reasons, right? Or your spends on luxury goods will increase because now you're stepping out a little more. So I think those are industries that I would want to kind of look into. For example, stocks like Airbnb, etc., in my opinion, will further appreciate over the next few years.
Got it. And maybe pharma stocks or stocks of companies that are distributing these vaccines. Maybe that's, you know, another industry that maybe you can look at. So on a parting note, I
Yeah,
just want,
absolutely.
your advice to maybe people who are just starting off in their career, 22, 23-year-old. How should they? And not everyone wants to start their own company, or not everyone has a brilliant idea to start fit of eternity, right? So uh, what would you advise people who are just taking their first job, or starting up their business maybe at a very early age? What advice would you give specifically related to managing their finances, or taking care of their financial
Right,
health?
right. So I think it's a very individual question. I think what most 22 to 24-year-olds don't do, which even I had not done, but I feel should do, is somewhere be clear what their next 5-year goal is, right? And based on that goal, you know, actually deploy your risk accordingly. So if your goal is X, and you think X is achievable by certain ways, then don't get into temptation and make large risk investments which might defer you from getting X, right? But if you're a little maybe more ambitious earlier in your life and you want to kind of see a very different future in the next 5 years, then your appetite for risk, etc., has to be higher, right? Which you are cognizantly doing, as part of your larger plan. So I think while it is a lot to ask from people of that age, I feel it is important to somewhere be meticulous and be very methodical in terms of what you want to do. And I feel a lot of times, and I've seen this personally, and in my case, is that you get tempted by what others are doing.
Got it.
But I think that temptation should not interfere with your plans. So if your plans are set, and then if what opportunities come in your way are in a way aiding those plans and not putting them at risk, then you should definitely do them. Otherwise, you should stay away. Is my opinion.
Got it. And if we would have to get uh, a couple of guests that on our podcast, what would be who would you like to see on the Money Matters podcast? Are there any other entrepreneurs or contemporaries that you're following, looking at online, or even when it comes to wealth creation? Who are the guys that you look up to, whom you'd want on the podcast? Anyone that comes to your mind?
And there's so many, so I think I'll reserve my opinion here.
Great. Okay. So maybe later on you can get back to us,
Yeah,
and
I
I'll
will.
put that in the comments on the podcast,
Sure.
and I will try if we could get those guests if you have.
Perfect.
Right. So thank you so much, Jayam. Wishing you the best of health, the best of wealth and happiness from myself, Mandar, and Team Copper. Wish you the best for fraternity forever. Thanks a lot.
Well, thank you so much. And I think you guys are doing great for the next few years to really kind of see this grow
Thanks a
and
lot.
for the launch of the app.
Thanks a lot.